Dear WineFortune podcast listeners, happy to welcome you all in here. Hello, Raimonds.
Good morning. Good morning in a beautiful snowy Riga.
Yeah, exactly. We are in Riga, so Raimonds' hometown.
Yeah,
it's good to be in here. We talk about today more about our common investment fund from WineFortune, and also about Raimonds' past year as a title of best sommelier of the world. So how has been your experiences and different trips all over the world? So and yeah, maybe briefly what we have done in wine investment fund through the year. So it has been now first year. We started 24th of October last year. With the first year, we raised approximately 700,000 capital to the fund. We have approximately 500 investors together, and our advisory board consists Raimonds, also Samuil Angelo from Finland, and Rein Kasela from Estonia. So our main role has been to choose out good options to buy to the fund to keep these in the long term and sell in the market now, near future or longer future. Maybe short questions at the beginning. What was your idea to join in investment fund board? What's your expectations in the long term?
Yeah, I think from my perspective as a sommelier, I'm always looking for, let's say, new challenges in my life, and wine investment. I think it's a topic which has gained popularity, specifically among, of course, investors, not only which are wine lovers, but general as an alternative investment. And also, I think it's very interesting for myself because now I'm involved in wine import and distribution.
Mm-hmm.
So, of course, being up to date, what's happening in the wine market, which wines are, gaining in popularity, which wines maybe are decreasing in popularity, what is the actual situation with the prices. It's all kind of strictly linked to my everyday actions here at our wine store or maybe in the restaurant. And also when I'm traveling around, when I'm visiting different wine regions, meeting with different wine personalities and producers, it is always interesting to keep the wine investment part in perspective, to see, how different regions are actually reacting with the demand and supply, and also the raise or diminishing of the price.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's a kind of new, exciting another way of being sommelier, to be part of this wine fund.
Very good, very good. Yeah, maybe before going very deep in investment side, starting from your past year, how has been your traveling through the world? What has been maybe most positive emotions or experiences from different countries? How much different countries you have been now this year?
It would be difficult to maybe to put a specific number.
Yeah.
But most, of course,
US, Japan.
Yeah, I mean, outside Europe, it was Japan, and just recently I came back to from California.
Mm-hmm.
I spent a wonderful week in Napa Valley. It was my first time there, so there was a lot of excitement from my part, and I really enjoyed the trip. It was really well organized. Of course, the wines were really showing high level of quality. You could feel that, the technology is really developed there when it comes to winemaking and also viticulture in the vineyard.
Okay.
And it was really interesting to see how excited and passionate are the local wine producers, how actually they are proud of being Californians and of their wine as well. And if we see in the wine investment part, we can see that also wines from United States and specifically from California, specifically from the Napa Valley, are of high demand, and the raise has been quite significant during the last 10 years or so. Japan was very interesting. We were also discussing before filming that Japan is a great market for, has always been for Burgundy, but now the Champagne has been very, very popular. Not only the Grand Marques, the big houses, but also small grower producers. And apart from those interesting exotic countries, of course, Europe is very often my destination. I will go in few days to Barcelona, to Cava Forum, and most of the time I'm spending actually in France. So Bordeaux, Burgundy, Champagne, Provence, the Rhone Valley.
Quite a lot.
The holy grail of the wine world.
But maybe starting with US side, what did you hear or saw from the producers' thoughts, and how much they are focusing on the inside market, and how much their goal is to provide more more valuable wine to the Europe market or some other markets?
So specifically, let's say California has been always a very important domestic market. You know, the Silicon Valley is just there. There's a lot of wealth and well-being there. The wines are very expensive because everything basically, you know, in generally speaking, in California is expensive. Starting from the land, the labor, you know, it's not easy to find the people who would be involved in viticulture, working in the fields. So yeah, everything is expensive, and also, you know, the wealth of the people probably pushes up the price as well. So what I noticed, you know, if you want to buy a decent quality wine, it will cost you at least $25-30 ex-cellar from the winery.
Starting price.
So I mean, of course, you can get something underneath $20 as well, but it's not very often as a case.
Yeah.
Having said that, I'm not saying like the prices are too expensive. It's just the reality. But the reality maybe which we Europeans see here in Europe, maybe in Burgundy, in Champagne, okay, Bordeaux, but you can find a lot of wines actually under 20 euros from the winery, of very good to even high quality, which you can still buy. So that was for me a little bit, I don't want to say surprise, but you know, yeah, it was a bit like surprising to see how high priced the wines are still selling quite well in the domestic market. But speaking with the producers and different representatives, the importance of European market is growing definitely. They're looking for representatives for companies which would like to work directly. And we as a company here based in Latvia and Riga as well, we are kind of sniffing around and looking maybe to include some of the producers in our portfolio. So definitely there is a demand, at least from
growing side.
To be represented well in the classic markets like Europe.
Yeah, I see it also from the Livex marketplace as the biggest B2B marketplace, because in a fund side, like we have also California wines, quite several names, and so on also through last maybe 2-3 years, California wines has raised more up in Livex lists. So yeah, when we look our numbers in a fund, first year average market price raise comparing to our buying prices to the wines have been 12%, and California wines are a very big part of it, next to Bordeaux, Burgundy, Champagne. So yeah, definitely California wines are raising more and more, and through the UK importers even more selection of the new names. I predict that also in your travel you saw some new names maybe are very high level, but not yet in our market.
Yeah, and actually when I came back now, I checked the index of Livex, I think 100.
Yeah.
I don't remember specifically, but there were at least maybe around 10 producers from Napa Valley.
Yeah, exactly.
Including names like Kaimus, Screaming Eagle, Opus One, and so on and so forth. So that means definitely that Napa Valley specifically in California is gaining popularity among wine investment. And also, speaking with just a small detail to add, what many producers said, specifically having Baltics and Latvia as a potential market. Mm-hmm. It's a very small market, but for them, it's not always necessarily important, to be represented in big volumes. Mm-hmm. For them, it's important to be represented also in these small markets. Mm-hmm. I think the main purpose for that is just to be represented, so people also in our market can have the chance to buy those wines, and also maybe I think there is a slightly misleading perception of Californian wines, because in our market the majority what you can find maybe is in off trade, so the big brands. And we are lacking maybe the high quality brands here. Yeah. So that is also one of the main reasons they want to be represented with good importers and distributors. So there is an awareness for sommeliers, so they can also promote the high quality, let's say, producers from California.
Mm-hmm. And maybe also thought about U.S. other region, Oregon wines and Pinot Noir size. How you see the future, maybe comparing with Burgundy Pinot Noirs? Is there also more maybe growing future for Pinot Noirs from Oregon?
If you look of all the classic and most important regions which are very attractive to wine investment, they're basically on the same latitude, more or less like Bordeaux, Champagne, Burgundy, the Rhone Valley, Piedmont. And then also Oregon, if you look at the global map, it's basically on the same latitude. Again,
same latitude. Yeah.
Of course, that's one thing, but another thing is Pinot Noir as a variety. We mentioned Burgundy as a region. So there is I think correlation in between those two regions, those two grape varieties, and also the fact that few very high quality producers from Burgundy historically are presented there. So the climatic conditions, the geography, of course, the high quality producers themselves, and the fact that also the classic producers from Burgundy, like Louis Jadot, for example, and Droit, the family of Droit, they have their, let's say, estates established there. That means that this region has high potential also in long term for the future.
So bringing own knowledge from the old world to the new world and sharing this combined together.
And thinking that the prices for Burgundy are really high, especially for the top domains.
Yeah.
Of course, Oregon is also expensive, but if you compare again to Burgundy, they're much more affordable. Yeah.
And looking also Livex index about Burgundy wines, we have shown that prices have correlated a little bit comparing maybe last 3 years, where it has been over 20% plus of the raise. So the secondary market for top of the top, where the bottle prices are thousands of euros, have a little bit correlated, but coming to the maybe up to 500 euros wines is still see some constant movement, a little bit upside. But how you see from buying straight from the producers, is it also same that every year a little bit more and more higher prices still?
Definitely, and usually the average raise is somewhere in between maybe 5 and 25%. For some producers it might be 30%, but there are some extremes as well, like I mentioned, we used to buy a Grand Cru for 150 and now it's around 400. So that's almost 300% price raise.
Crazy.
So and probably the reason for that, there's several. We have seen several vintages which were really complicated with frosts, with hailstorms. So of course the production is down.
Especially whites.
Especially whites, and specifically in some areas. So I understand that the producers need to back up these kind of losses somewhere, and usually this is linked to the raise of the price, which we, of course, as importers and distributors, we're not really excited about that, but of course we understand as well. The question is if our clients and guests will understand that as well. But usually, every year, from one year to the other, the raise is there, and we as importers, actually, we know that, we are aware of that, but it's just in some cases, I think the raise is maybe a little bit too much for us, being a small market. So especially for the very expensive wines. So sometimes, we kindly refuse maybe.
Yeah, of course.
And we try to buy maybe wines which we really see that we can sell, and so there is a stock rotation as well. So we will be able to buy next year as well.
Okay, so maybe coming from this point that prices have raised quite a lot, how you see, is it depends also customer trends, how the past maybe 2-3 years, is there also some shift of the regions depending of the price raises of some favorite regions what they have bought previous years, or the tastes have changed a little bit? Because I have also heard some of the people that more and more likes a lighter red, not too much anymore. Some people so strong reds, and what we have seen actually on the secondary market that Bordeaux hasn't been raised so much, Burgundy has more raised. But how you see your own customer trends of the buying wines?
Yeah. Okay, several maybe aspects here. Bordeaux will always be, the benchmark classic region. Of course, the raise of the prices may be slower, but in long term, it's a very, let's say, stable, constant region to buy. Burgundy, I think the reason why the prices have raised so dramatically, it's very small region, and it's just supply and demand. Now the question is how high the prices can go up, and there is some rumors, and not maybe rumors, but people are talking that the bubble might pop. And as an importer, I don't want to say that I'm hoping for that, but of course we are limited. The price sets its kind of red lines, and at some point, as I mentioned, we are not able to buy. In our market, I think still Burgundy as a region is not, let's say, that popular, because it's expensive. But I would like to say that specifically the white Burgundy is much more demanded as the red Burgundy, what we can see here. Is there any trends people are looking for alternative, let's say, regions or countries? Our market is quite conservative, I would like to say. So you need to be very patient, and there is time needed in order to convince maybe our clients and guests to try something new. What is the positive side of that people are coming to our, let's say, wine store or restaurant, or approaching us as sommeliers and importers with high trust, high value of trust. So we are able to encourage them and to discover new regions, which we believe are either a better value for money or something interesting, exciting in long term, and maybe a region which might get more popular also from the perspective of investment. So, of course, we are very passionate about regions and countries like Germany and Austria, of course, Champagne. And when we speak about wine investment, it's mostly about the Grand Marques, so the big houses. But we see really a big potential in growers as well. And since we work only with small growers, I think they are also becoming more and more popular. People are really open-minded, and champagne definitely as a category is very, very in high demand. We're always short of champagne, especially now closer to the end of the year. We are
like you made also tasting in the summer.
Yeah, like yesterday I had a call from a client, and he needs around 50 bottles for their corporate, let's say, clients, and I needed really to puzzle and look from which our producer, you know,
what to combine.
I can take those 50 bottles in order not to, to take them away from my colleagues or some other clients of ours. So yeah, the Rhone Valley, we kind of really believe that this kind of classic region is, I think it will have some potential in the future, definitely. Piedmont, so the northern part of Italy, because still, again, if you compare with the greatest producers from Burgundy, and if you have great producers from Piedmont, the price is still more attractive, and you can see that really. But yeah, it's not always easy to cope with the kind of conservative view of our clients. Yeah.
But yeah, talking about investment trends also after classical consumer trends, how you see or heard about maybe what could be next countries or regions in the future, maybe 5 years up to 10 years? Is it maybe China is growing more, or some other countries outside of maybe I heard that Brazil is starting to grow more and more now, experiencing some other ways to viniculture. So what you see, which regions could be in longer future, maybe stars?
Yeah, it's a prediction, and I would like to say it's a very
just to idea about of experience. Yeah.
What we have seen that Italy has gained popularity, and I think the main reason for that is the rise of some specific producers and regions. People are looking for alternatives besides, Champagne, Burgundy, and Bordeaux. Italy gives still, well, except some of the greatest names like Solaya and other maybe great names. Still, I think the price is quite attractive. You can afford them. So Italy, I would like to say, and maybe some other regions might gain popularity. I think Spain and the Iberian Peninsula in general.
Okay.
Because now it's mostly about some producers in Ribera del Duero or Rioja or Priorat. But I think Spain has a great potential and very good value and quality. So I think that country as well. And then the rest of the world, what we call, apart from maybe Napa Valley in California, and rest of the world being South Africa, so Latin America with Chile and Argentina, and definitely New Zealand and Australia. So and also the prices are still quite attractive. Again, except maybe some of the big names like Penfolds Grange, and other. But people are looking for alternative, let's say, countries and regions to invest. But again, I think it will really depend also from the global warming question.
Yeah, coming to that climate change also.
Yeah, some regions might gain, more tempting, let's say, position, and some regions maybe might be more challenging to grow high quality grapes because of that.
Yeah, when you also named that Italy prices are still quite well priced, depending of the quality side. Also good example like Bibi Graz, who got for Colore 100 points this year, but they still came out with the same price as last year. So it's also quite good example that it's not for everyone that already 20% raise of the price coming, not depending any market tendency. So yeah, and Austria side, like quite previously, they made some reclassification. Maybe Austria side also potential to be more clear to customer
Yeah.
which sparkling wines are which level. So it's maybe also more easier to understand for the customer side.
Yeah, and I mean, thinking about Austria, okay, I didn't mention it, right? But Austria, specifically for the white wines, is very, very attractive. But then when we look about wine investment, it's usually about long term. And when we think about long term, it's usually red wines.
Yeah.
Except, again, champagne and some white
Exactly.
Burgundy. And then I think still a lot of people do not, let's say, understand, and maybe from the educational point of view, do not consider Austria as a great, let's say, country for long-term investment. So it's a question, I think, a little bit of education and knowledge. Sparkling wines from Austria, yeah, we know that they have a specific classification for that. There are a lot of high-quality producers,
Single vineyards,
producing excellent sparkling wines. But again, if we look at other great sparkling wines like Cava or Franciacorta or even the English sparkling wines, still I think the percentage is...
And South Africa also.
Yeah, from the investment point of view is at this stage is very little. So champagne is the name, and maybe people think, why to invest in other sparkling wines where the price is also quite high, like the best producers for Cava. Okay, the majority of them is not Cava anymore, it's Corpinat, but also English sparkling wines, they're not cheap at all, especially the best
maybe English
ones,
will be one of the regions
in the future.
More, yeah.
Maybe, who knows, yeah.
So we already mentioned a little bit about climate.
Yeah.
So I think climate change and differences in regions where have been the same tastes or quality in decades have been changed. Like in Burgundy, we heard more and more that the alcohol level is rising. In Piemonte, there is drought already several years following. Capacity to get top level is also lower. How you see which regions are most affected in the old world, where we should maybe more to buy together now to get for the long term also these good wines. Maybe after 10 years we don't have ability to buy so much these.
Yeah, so climate change is a big topic, big debate, and again depends. I've spoken to several producers. Some say, it's nonsense. It's all what you do in the vineyards. Some winemakers say it's a big problem. So it really depends from what kind of perspective, what kind of winemaker, in which kind of region you are talking to. Again, in Napa Valley, just recently, the main concern is, for example, the lack of water, definitely, the drought, and also the wildfires. We can see also in Bordeaux, in classic regions like Bordeaux, there are new grape varieties being implemented, which are kind of more resistant to higher temperatures. So we cannot deny that global warming actually is happening, and the question is how fast it will develop. Of course, the southern regions are at higher risk because of the lack of water, because of the high temperatures. So really, and many winemakers, are saying it will really depend on your skill, what you do in the vineyard. There's plenty of things what you can do, but I will probably not touch those. But what will definitely change is, let's put like Burgundy. So there are maybe vineyards which historically have been considered the better ones, which were on the better, let's say, expositions,
of the sun, and
more south facing, and then you could get the ripeness and potentially, better wines. Comparing with those who had maybe lesser favorable positions, like maybe more east or north, and where the ripeness was lacking historically. So now everything is kind of shifting and changing. So we might see new potential vineyard sites which could gain more popularity, more higher price, more tempting for investors. So that definitely could change. we can see that Champagne, as a region being maybe slightly more north, could gain in long term. But again, they have problems as well. They have weather extremes, and they have frost, they have hailstorms. So there are a lot of problems they're dealing besides, the temperature. So depends how you look. England, for example, again, if you look at the sparkling wines, could benefit definitely.
Conditions will go better.
Yeah. So the northern regions, again, regions like Austria, Germany, the Loire Valley, for example. Yeah. Again, definitely, it's a big debate, and maybe it's a more reliable question to the winemakers, because they're the people who are facing these extremes and these conditions on everyday basis. But definitely, new regions might appear. More vineyard sites can be more tempting in long term, and those who were like very favorable, they might maybe lose something in long term.
When you went also recently in Champagne, how you saw and heard about producers also, what's the condition of the soils? Because yesterday I just read about soils in Champagne for the grand producers, like big producers. Maybe 20 years, 30 years back, there was more like a different agriculture and more biodiversity of the regions. But now it's like a very big areas for the one producers, and the soil is maybe overused a little bit, and also affects of the quality of the soil in the long term.
Yeah.
Did they also producers talked about something, or they are seeing that it's not so?
Yeah, actually, no. We well, I didn't hear any conversation like the about specifically about the soil, but of course, in a region like Champagne, the soil is one of the main factors, which is in generally chalk or limestone. But there's much more than that only. But chalk being very porous, and it has great capacity, to keep water. So the water kind of problem is not that big problem as it is in the southern,
maybe more mineral side than
regions.
This side. Yeah.
What might be the problem, probably, I mean, people are, and especially the small growers are talking about that. Maybe the very big houses are trying to monopolize their production, because again the demand for Champagne is growing, and of course the big players would like to, let's say, be sure that they have enough Champagne, and the only possibility to do so is to get more, let's say, land for their vineyards, either to buy, which is very difficult to do, or to have those long-term agreements with the wine growers. And of course they are offering higher prices. They have quite deep pockets to do that. And maybe the small growers, they are not having the same possibilities as the big houses. And also there is a kind of debate that maybe the territory, the AOP of Champagne, might be enlarged in the future, but France being a very bureaucratic country, that might take very, very, very long time. And
like in Burgundy, they are waiting some of the Premier Cru to upgrade to Grand Cru, and some of the village to Premier Cru. And
we have seen that with, for example, Pouilly-Fuisset. Now they have, I think, 22 new Premier Cru, but that will take a long time. That will take a long time.
Okay, but before wrapping together our talking here, I already mentioned China, but how you see, or how much in Japan people talked about and about neighbors. So do you see that China quality could raise such a level in maybe 10 years, and the awareness of these wines could maybe raise in Europe, because like James Suckling is also makes quite a big work in this region, and yeah, much of the producers have raised their own people in wine universities in Europe. So what do you see? What the future for China?
Well, China is definitely a significant player, and I think now if we look at the vineyards planted, like I think China is number 4, or well, it's in top 5 definitely. But that's mostly for not the value, but the volume, of course. Yeah, I'm not that aware of, let's say, Chinese wines, except maybe the most famous ones like Aoyun, from the Shangri-La area.
Yeah. Like we have also in fund.
Exactly, yeah. But I'm not quite sure. Definitely we will see more of China, but I doubt that, in the next 5-10 years or so, people will consider Chinese wine as collectibles, except some names. Not saying like China has not the potential, but of course they have the maybe know-how, bringing over, let's say, high quality consultants and wine producers
from Europe.
We see that, they have the chateaus and this kind of concept. They have the money for that. But I think, still, if you don't have appropriate and high quality terroir, as the French would like to say, it is very, very difficult to copy and to make high quality wines. Of course, there are some specific regions and areas which are very suitable to growing high quality grapes and making high quality wines, like Ningxia, for example. But we will see in the future. At this moment, it's speculation.
Let's see the longer
debate. But definitely we will hear more of Chinese wines. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, it's good to see that very different regions are developing. Like I also mentioned that Brasilia is trying to develop some new ways to viticulture and all the else. Okay, but wrapping together all the regions and future outlook for the wines, I would summarize that Grower champagnes are definitely one to look. US definitely growing, and still hopefully climate changes are not so fast that we will still get this Femine nice Burgundy wines and also Barolos from Italy we could get also after 10 or 20 years and not see so much growth following years. But wrapping together fund side, we have seen now we have approximately 500 investors. We are raising right now in a new round for our investment fund. When I have talked about people why they chosen to invest in fund, they have told that for the beginner in wine investment world, it's a easier choice to start maybe with UK portfolio manager, where the ticket size is also very high. So, what's your maybe one suggestion to starting a wine investor? Why they should consider about wine fund?
I think investing in wine is a great alternative. We have seen that through the last few decades, and the main reason for that, well, there are several. Wine is less sensitive to global, let's say, crisis, being economical crisis, or we've seen with COVID. Yeah, there might be like downgrade, but wine will come back very, very fast.
In the long term.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And it has outperformed, some of the most important stock markets like S&P 500 or FTSE 100. And sometimes even gold, which is as an asset. If you look from the investment side, it's the least kind of sensitive.
Lower volatility.
Exactly. Yeah. So there is something really attractive. Apart from being a wine lover, people are looking for those alternative investments. Also, we have seen with inflation, so if you have money, it can go to waste. So again, if you are investing in wine very wisely, so basically you are gaining on an annual basis somewhere in between, let's say, 8 to 15%, depending on the wines you are investing in. And then again, what is really positive specifically about wine fund, you don't have to be kind of very educated, or you don't have to have the knowledge about wine. So basically you can decide how big your share could be. You are ready to invest, and you can let the advisory board and the people of the wine fund to take care and to buy wisely the wines for the fund, and get financial return on annual basis or in long term. So it's a very kind of easy way how to invest in wine, specifically the wine fund. Of course, if you are investing like in classic, let's say, wine investment companies, of course, then definitely you will have a consultant who can diversify your portfolio. And the main issue is if you are willing to invest in wine, don't invest in one vintage, one region, one producer. I think you need to diversify in order, not to have all eggs in one basket.
Yeah.
These are the main kind of concerns. And then, if you are investing in wine, just keep in mind where are you going to keep those. But nowadays, I think the majority of wine companies, they have their own kind of in-bond warehouses with the right temperature, wine, the right humidity, and also insurance policy as well.
Yeah, exactly, because also our fund wines is insured thanks to Octavian in UK and Wine International Logistics in Belgium against Livex market price. So it gives also advantage to keep in your own storage or just use some storage provider in outside. Okay. But thank you, Raimonds. I think it was very good talk about what's the trends and outlook of the fine wine market. So thank you for a good talk today.
Thank you for having me.
So thank you, WineFortune podcast listeners. We will come back quite soon in the next episode too. So thank you all to listen, and see you soon.